Ow! I forgot that was there. Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be filming my July wrap up. I film these videos every month. I just tell you all the books that I read during the month, and yeah, I read so many books, so many good books this month. I read 14 books altogether, and about maybe 5 or 6 of those were 5-star reads, so I'm so excited. I found some of my all-time favorite books this month and I'm so excited to share those with you, and I'm so excited to talk about them, so let's just go ahead and get into the video. The first book that I'm going to be talking about this month is actually the first book in a series, and I read the whole series, and this is the Hoop series by Kennedy Ryan. This is one of my new all-time favorite series. It was phenomenal. It's a basketball romance series, and I've never read basketball romances before, and I was so excited because if you didn't know, I play basketball. Basketball is kind of my sport. I actually knew what was happening and I actually knew what they were talking about. So Long Shot is the first book in the series, and this book was phenomenal. So this follows August and Iris, and they meet in a bar. Iris is watching a Lakers game and she's like screaming at the TV. She's a massive fan, and August sees this and decides that he's gonna go up to her, and they start like joking around and they start talking, and they have this amazing connection, and they're talking basically all night until the bar closes, and then he's like, let me walk you out, let me walk you home so like I can make sure you get home safe, and she's like, no, like that's okay, like you don't need to do that, and he's like, no, like I insist. And anyway, they're standing there and it's like that awkward like goodbye moment where they don't want to say goodbye but they don't really know what to do next, and you're in August's point of view, and in his head he's a very tall man. Obviously he plays basketball, he's like 6'6" or 6'7", which is like a stunning height, by the way. We love that. And he's like, there's no like subtle ways going for a kiss, like it's like I have to lean down, like, and it's gonna be obvious because like I'm so tall. And so he's like, you know what, like fuck it, like I'm just gonna do it. And he leans in and they're about to kiss, and then like they're caught up in the moment, and Iris is like, no, we can't do that, like I have a boyfriend, like stop. Caleb, I despise this man's existence. He is the worst person, the worst character. He is awful, disgusting, terrible. Ugh. I can't even describe to you how much I hate him. Disgusting. So she is in a relationship with Caleb, who is August's rival. They've known each other since high school, and they've always been rivals, and they're always competing against each other, so they don't like each other. And you fast forward like a year and a half later, and Caleb starts getting abusive, and it is awful to read. It was so hard to read, so that definitely don't read this book if you are triggered by that, because it's very in-depth and very in detail. Like there's so much detail, and I was bawling my eyes out. It was so sad, and she wants to leave Caleb but she can't. He's threatening her with something that I can't say because it's a spoiler, but he's threatening her with that, so she can't, like she literally can't leave. But throughout the years she has all these interactions with August at random like places, like basketball, like games, like charity events, that because he got drafted into the NBA and so did Caleb, and so they meet throughout the years, and like you can see that they still have this connection and all this chemistry, and they're both always thinking about each other but they just can't be together, like right person, wrong time. Yeah, so he fights for her so hard. Oh my god, he's like, we are perfect for each other, we're gonna be together, I want you and I'm gonna wait for you and it's gonna be amazing. And he fights for her so hard, and I love it. August is everything. He's husband material. He's one of my all-time favorite book boyfriends. He's just perfect. I'm literally obsessed. And yeah, this book I gave 5 out of 5 stars. I gave every single book in this series 5 out of 5 stars, and phenomenal. The next book in this series is Blockshare, and this follows Jared, who is August's stepbrother, and his love story with Banner. They meet in college and they're like best friends, and they always study together at the laundromat where Banner works. And one day he finds out that she's moving to New York after college to pursue her career in sports management, and he also wants to be a sports manager. And so she wants to move to New York. He's moving to San Diego or something, I'm not really sure. And so he decides it's now or never, I've got to make a move on her because he really likes her, he's really drawn to her, and she really likes him but doesn't think that he would ever reciprocate those feelings because she's struggling with a lot of body image issues. So he just decides he's gonna make the move. He kisses her, things happen between them, and then something happens and everything blows up and she ends up absolutely despising him. Anyway, fast forward 10 years later, they're both thriving in their careers. Jared owns his own management company and Banner is really high up in her management. Not like she doesn't own the company, but she works for a company. She's very high up in the ranks there, and they're both thriving, and they end up meeting again at this event or something. I'm not really sure. And they meet again. They've met again throughout the years but never really had much interaction with each other. And yes, so they meet again. Vanna has a boyfriend, so she can't be with Jared, but she hates him anyway, and he's like, just give me a chance to explain myself because what happened all those years isn't what you think. And Banner doesn't want to hear a word of it. She's like, no, like I don't care what you did, like I don't want anything to do with you. They despise each other. Anyway, eventually things do happen. Jared is the man who, he has that mentality where he'll take what he wants when he wants it, and he doesn't care about the consequences, because if he wants it, he's gonna get what he wants. He's very selfish in that sense, and he's a bit of a dick, but you kind of love him anyway. This book was also very emotional, not as heavy as the first book, nowhere near as heavy as the first book, but it does deal with emotional topics as well. And the last book in the series, the last full-length novel in the series, is Hookshot. This one I talked about in my most recent video, which was single parent romances, so if you want to hear a full in-depth description, go watch that video. But this book is a single parent romance, single dad. See Keenan and Lotus's connection throughout the first two books, and so I definitely recommend reading all of them and reading them in order, because you, like, the build up to Keenan and Lotus's relationship is kind of everything. And the last book in the series is the Hoops holiday novella. This is amazing. This is about Avery and Decca, who are two characters that you see throughout the whole series, and they have a relationship and they're finally getting their story, and I loved it. And then you also get like a bonus couple of chapters from Banner and Jared, and also August and Iris from the first two books, and they're like little holiday stories that are really cute and fun, and I really loved those. I read was Twisted Love by Anna Hung, I think. I'm not really sure how to say it, but this book was really, really good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It is a brother's best friend romance, and this is the first book in a series, and the second book actually comes out today, and I'm so excited to read it. But this book is amazing. It follows Alex and Ava, and basically Josh, Ava's brother, is moving away, and he wants Alex to move into his old house, which is next door to Ava's house, to watch over her and keep an eye on her and make sure she's safe and okay. And Alex like doesn't really like her, and they don't really like each other, but he's like, yeah, like I'll do it for you, Josh, like whatever. And so he ends up moving in, and they're seeing each other frequently, and they don't really like each other, but they kind of always have this connection, and obviously things happen. But Alex is dealing with a lot of stuff. He's trying to get revenge on these people that did these things to his family when he was younger, and he works for this company, and he does a lot of dangerous illegal stuff. And yeah, this book is so good and so steamy. Oh my god, amazing. I loved it. This book or books that I read is The Darkest Sunrise Duet by Ali Martinez. I talked about this once again in my single parent romances, so definitely go watch that video if you want to hear my in-depth explanation. But this book is so good. Single dad romance, so heartbreaking, but amazing. Porter is everything. I'm obsessed with that man. It's so good. This is the first book I ever read from Ali Martinez, and I really loved her writing, so I went on and I read 2 more of her books, Release and Reclaim. This is a series, but they're both standalones and you can read them both on their own. But Release is so good. Oh my god. This is about Thea and Ramsey, and basically they have known each other since they were kids, and they are childhood best friends turned lovers. And then I think when they're about 17, he's 17 and she's 16, happens, and she ends up getting raped by this boy in their year level, and Ramsey finds out, and he's like, oh my god, like I'm gonna kill him. But Thea doesn't want him to go, and he ends up going, and he ends up killing her abuser and going to jail. Fast forward 12 years later, he's getting out of jail, and he basically cut off all contact with her. I was like, I don't want you to come see me, I don't love you anymore, don't contact me ever again. And she's like, that's ridiculous. Like, we were in love, we had all these plans together. And so she doesn't give up on him, and she writes him letters and is determined to, you know, see him again. So when he gets out, she's best friends with his sister, and they were all like really good friends when they were younger as well. And so they go and they pick him up from jail, and he's really mad that she's there. He doesn't want anything to do with her because of everything that's happened. There was also a big plot twist in this book that I was not expecting, didn't see coming. And yeah, they end up rekindling that love, and it's so good. And then the next book, Reclaim, is about Nora, and this is another childhood friends to lovers book, but this is Right Person, Wrong Time. Camden, I can't say his name, and Nora, they're perfect for each other. They meet at this lake, and she's collecting worms for this, like for bait for this guy, and he's paying her, and he's doing it too. And so they absolutely hate each other at first, just for like a couple minutes, and then they end up working together and they form this friendship. And this friendship slowly turns into love. But Cayman's from a different town, and he's only there for the summer, so he ends up moving away. And they don't have a way to contact each other because like they don't have phones. They're pretty young. They're only like 11 and 12. They don't have any way to contact each other, but he comes back every summer, and they see each other, but something happens and he doesn't. And she gets really mad and like doesn't like him anymore, and then like there's a little complication, and then like yeah, eventually this book goes on for a long period of time, and then you get to like present day when they're like 25, 26, and they're finding each other again, and they've had so much like contact throughout the years, just like randomly at random points, and they'll see each other, but they can't be together because it's not the right time yet. And eventually we get to the right time and they end up together, and it's just so good. And this book didn't sound like much from the synopsis, and I wasn't all that intrigued, but I'm so glad I read it because it was phenomenal. I loved it. And Release and Reclaim, I gave 5 stars. And The Darker Sunrise Duet, I also gave 5 stars. The next book I read is The Takeover by T.L. Swan. This is the second book in the Miles High Club series, and this is about Tristan, one of the Miles brothers. I read the first book last month and loved it, and this book I didn't think much of it from the synopsis, and I wasn't really that intrigued, but I'm so glad that I read it because it ended up being phenomenal and such an hilarious read. This follows Tristan and Claire, and once again I talked about this in my single parent romances video, so if you want to hear an in-depth description, go watch that video. And I gave it 4.5 stars because I didn't like the ending, so that took half a point off. The next book I read is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. I'm not really sure how to say that, but I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. This is one of my favorite books I think I've ever read. It is so good. Oh my god, Aaron Blackford, marry me. He is everything. I love him so much. Oh my god. So this is very comparable to The Hating Game actually. It's a business romance, but it's also fake dating. So it's similar in the aspect that they work for the same company and they're kind of like rivals, and they don't like each other because of something Aaron said behind Lena's back. And so basically one day Lena's talking with her friend. She needs a fake date to a wedding, her sister's wedding in Spain, and Aaron overhears and he's like, I'll be your fake date. And Lena laughs in his face. He's like, what the heck, like we don't like each other, why would you do that? And he's like, I want to be like your fake date, like let me do it. And she's like, no. And so he tries to convince her, and anyway he needs a fake date for this event, and so he is like, I'll be your fake date if you be my fake date for this event, like we'll make a little deal, and then like, you know, it'll be even. And so she's like, okay, fine. She's really desperate at this point. She doesn't really have like any other option, and so she decides that she's gonna let Aaron be her fake date to this wedding. And so they go to Spain and they have to fake date, but is he really pretending? I don't know. Obviously, you know, fake love is gonna turn into real love, but like they are very like touchy with each other. He's very touchy with her. Like his love language is definitely physical touch, and like just like the little things he does are so sweet, and I'm obsessed with him. And this book is also surprisingly really steamy. I was like really here for the smart. It was really good. But this book is just so good. Aaron is he's just everything. What more can I say? He's just everything. Read this book if you haven't already. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. Amazing, phenomenal, stunning, perfect, beautiful. The book I read is actually another novella. This is Truth or Dare by Danielle Allen. And this book is really, really good. It's really short, only like about 100 pages, and I really loved this one. It's basically just smut with like the tiniest bit of plot, but the smut is so good. So this follows Kingston and Simone, and they have been best friends since college. They have a really big friendship group, and they've all been friends since college. And anyway, 2 of the people in the group are getting married, and they're having a destination wedding, so the whole friendship group is going, and they're all in like the bridal party, and they end up playing this game of like truth or dare, and they're all drunk, and Simone is dared to kiss Kingston, and she's like, yeah, like, all right, like, I'll do it, like, whatever, it's just a kiss. And this kiss is very intense, and they end up like being like, do like I have feelings for you? Like, oh, that kiss was like very intense, like, I don't know, like I'm kind of feeling something here. And things end up happening between them, and it's just really good. And yeah, super short, fun, easy, quick read. The next book I read is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. This is the first book I read by Christina and Lauren. It's 2 people. I did not know it was 2 people. Christina Lauren is 2 people. I thought it was 1 person this whole time, but apparently it's not. Apparently it's 2. So Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, phenomenal. This is another friends to lovers book, and basically Josh and Hazel met in college, and they were like kind of friends but like kind of not. Hazel's very quirky, and yeah, she's one of those super quirky girls who can sometimes be a little bit cringe, but like in the best way. So yeah, anyway, fast forward like a few years later, 7 years later, they're meeting again, and turns out Josh is actually her best friend's brother, and she had no idea, and so she ends up meeting him again, and they become really good friends again. They rekindle this friendship, and they decide, Josh is going through a really bad breakup, and they decide that they're going to set each other up on dates and go on all these double dates together. And somehow these dates always turn out really bad, and it ends up being just Hazel and Josh hanging out at the end of the night. And yeah, they definitely don't like each other or anything. No, not at all. They're just like hanging out as friends, right? So anyway, things eventually happen one night, and they go from there. Really, really good, really funny and fun, light-hearted read. And yeah, this is really good. I loved Josh, and his character is just amazing. Last book I read is One of Us is Lying. This book, I have some thoughts. So this is not a romance book. I know, you're shocked. I only read romance, but I decided to branch out this month. I bought this a little while ago, if you've seen my romance book haul, and I decided to just read this, and it's really good. I ended up liking it. I gave it 3 stars, and I liked it until we found out who killed Simon. So this book is basically The Breakfast Club, but a murder mystery. So yeah, 5 students go into detention, and they're like in detention, but it's like a setup. Like they're not, they didn't really do anything wrong, but they're like, something got planted in their backpack and they ended up in detention. And only 4 of them leave because Simon died, and they thought it was a freak accident, but turns out it was actually a murder and someone purposefully killed him. And they're all trying to work out, they all come together and they're trying to work out who did it. And this whole book I was like so into it, so intrigued, couldn't put it down, and I was like, oh my god, like who killed him? And I had all these theories. I was like, everyone's so sus, like every single person in this book is sus, and I was like, you're a suspect and you're a suspect and you're being dodgy, what the heck? And then the reveal came, and I was so underwhelmed. It was so anticlimactic. And if you've read it and you know who killed Simon, let me know what your thoughts are, and if you thought it was anticlimactic too, because I was so into it. And then I just felt like the whole book was a waste of time because of the whole reveal. And I was like, oh, that's what happened? And I literally said at the start of the book, like I was talking to my brother about it, and I said at the start of the book, I was like, oh my god, if this is what happens and this is how he died, I'm gonna be so pissed off. And then I was right. And I was so into it the whole time, coming up with all these theories on who could have killed him, and it was just so anticlimactic. And I was really annoyed and really disappointed because like this book has so much potential to be amazing, and I was just really let down. There is actually a romance aspect in this book between 2 of the characters that I was really rooting for and really loved the whole time, and their chemistry was just phenomenal. And then yeah, I didn't really like the ending either. I just thought it was a bit like annoying. But yeah, so this book is told from everyone's point of view. All the 4 suspects, Bronwyn, Cooper, Nate and Andy, and you get everyone's point of view in this book, which is really good. And yeah, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because, like I said, very anticlimactic. I do want to read the second book in this series. There's a sequel about some characters that you meet in the first book, and hopefully that's better. But yeah, I really like the writing style and I love the book the whole time until the end. But yeah, apparently this is becoming a TV show as well. I watched the teaser trailer. I will say the cast is nothing like what I imagined for these characters, but I'm excited for the TV show and I hope they do it better, like the ending wise. I hope they do it better than the book. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.